A very good evening. Welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk on Global Television, a program where we highlight political issues, social issues, economic issues as it concerns Nigeria. For us here at Global Television, it's about moving Nigeria forward and making Nigeria the country where we will all be proud to call our own, right? There's been a lot of tussle. Yesterday, on the edition of the program, we talked about River State and the things that are happening in the state. We had some people from the state who joined us live to help make sense of a declaration and the politics of that particular state. But it seems a lot has also happened today, because yesterday, which officially began the new the term of the expiration of the 6 month state of emergency that was granted in the state. So Governor Similaye Fubara returned to power again as governor of River State, and Martin Amoale returned as the leader and the Speaker of the River State House of Representatives. But we didn't see the governor yesterday, and last night we heard from the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, who said Governor Similaye Fubara was in Europe and would be back in the country any moment from now. But today, we saw Governor Similaye Fubara step into the airport, the national airport in River State, Port Harcourt, and we saw him go into the government house and also address people. It's been wonderful for those who are his fans and for political analysts. A lot of thoughts, a lot of questions. Will the peace last? These are all questions that people are asking. But tonight, as I try to go into our show, let's go for this short break, and when we're back, I just bring perspective to some of the stories that we have online at the moment and some of the reports we have before we get ahead with our program tonight. Let's go for this break. All right, so tonight on the show, we'll be looking at River State in perspective. What is really happening in the state, and what's the way forward? As we have a political analyst who will be joining us, we have somebody who will also be talking to us from River State, and somebody who will be in-house to talk to us. But before we go ahead to introduce our guest, there's this report I did today about River State. I just like that we'll bring it to you now. At exactly 11:55 a.m., the governor's aircraft touched down at the Port Harcourt International Airport, Omangwa. On the ground, an eager crowd had been waiting, supporters chanting, waving placards, and straining for a glimpse of their governor. Cheers erupt as Governor Fubara stepped out of the aircraft. his presence stirring emotions among the people who see him as a symbol of resilience in a stormy political climate. This homecoming comes just a day after reports that the Rivers State House of Assembly reconvened, yet another twist in the unfolding political saga of Rivers State. For now, Fubara's return raises more questions than answers. What role will he play in the days ahead? And how will Rivers State politics unfold after months of uncertainty? Ubong Osoro for Global Television. Today we had the governor of Rivers State, Governor Similaye Fubara, address the people of Rivers State. And as we're talking to you, 6 p.m. tonight, we had the governor also come out and take on a press briefing, right? We saw him actually say a couple of things. So let's just play you what the governor said when he arrived at the Rivers State government house.
I know everyone wants to hear something from me. In fact, we expected it when I landed from the aircraft. Let me first of all appreciate the wonderful people of Rivers State. I am really humbled by what I saw at the airport. I was also briefed with some photographs of what happened here yesterday. That reception really humbled me. It showed love, confidence, and solidarity. I want to say that it is not just the celebration, the massive reception by the number of people who came out to celebrate, but a display or reaffirmation of the bond between this government and the people that we are serving. I want to assure you that we will, by the grace of God, continue to do those things that has made you people love us. I want to appreciate everyone and to say that we love you. We are going to address the states officially by 6 p.m. this evening, and in that state broadcast, every other person, every personality, every authority that gives support to this normalcy will be properly recognized. Thank you.
All right, so tonight we have Mr. Bernard Eshet, who is a journalist and a political activist, join us in the studio as we make sense of this discussion. A very good evening to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
A lot has been happening in Rivers State. What are your thoughts, your immediate thoughts?
Well, when we look at the way Rivers State is, even prior to the emergence of the former governor, which is Nyesom Wike, we understand that PDP has been a traditional party, always winning those elections. But subsequently, what now happened? We will have the likes of Peter Odili, we have the likes of Celestine Umeya, and subsequently, don't forget, even during the Obasanjo era, where he also encouraged second-term governors who want to succeed him to aspire to come into that office. But we saw what actually played out, that the likes of Goodluck Jonathan, who came for the party's convention in Abuja, didn't even envisage that he's going to be the running mate to the late Yaradua. But subsequently, going back, Rotimi Amechi emerged. But we just saw what happened, that when Rotimi Amechi in 2013, where we begin to see some discussion on him, who is going to be a running mate to a northern governor, and subsequently he now decamped to the APC. So you just understand that it was a tough battle for His Excellency Nyesom Wike, to the extent that even after picking the party's ticket, the case went to the Supreme Court where he won. But the challenge about Rivers State is that you know how party politics is in Nigeria, that if you want to play politics in such a way, you must be able to play it in such a way that you are able to be a very tall Iroko tree with a solid taproot. And Sim Fubara also, in another way around, maybe he couldn't understand the handwriting on the wall, because what exactly is structure? To a mere classroom political science student, you may just think maybe his followers, people who are ready to follow you. But we have seen that even the way the political structure is in Nigeria, no governor will want a party chairman to come out from the same state with him. Right from when Goodluck Jonathan was there, we saw the likes of Bamanga Tuku, where Murtala Nyako suspected that his son might likely take over from him. So there was these issues, and now we'll now come back to Benue State, for example, where you have Iyorchia Ayu and what do I call it, Samuel Othom, and subsequently coming back to Rivers State, you just understand Secondus seems to be like he was driven away with giving a 24 hours notice.
We're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk a lot. Let me bring Chief into the conversation. So we have joining us from Rivers State, Churchill Wali, who's a PDP stakeholder, and also the former PDP Youth Alliance coordinator in Rivers State. Good evening to you, Chief. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
How are you feeling today? Your governor is back, and we saw him address people in Rivers State. What is happening in Rivers State, Chief?
Yes, we first of all we thank God Almighty who has made it possible for what is happening today to happen. It's just the return of the governor after the state of emergency rule for 6 months. So we believe that the president, day before yesterday, called off the emergency rule and declared that the governor resumes immediately. But the governor did not. So many people were at government house on that yesterday morning. They were happy, crowds of more than let me not exaggerate, more than 20,000 youths, elders and women were there waiting for the governor to arrive. But unfortunately, the governor did not arrive. So the information got to us today that the governor was coming down today to Rivers State, and people went to government to airport to receive him. And he also told us that we'll be granting a press interview this evening by 6 p.m. So just about the welcoming of democracy again to Rivers State, because democracy has been pinched, it has been tampered, whether we like it or not. But we're just looking at way to redeem it back. It is no more a story that the looks and crannies of Nigeria are expecting this that is happening in Rivers State today to happen, because the governor was elected by the people and he was serving the people for the interests of the people. So before the emergency rule came. So what happened was what is supposed to happen: the welcoming of the governor of Rivers State, the executive governor of Rivers State, back as the governor of Rivers State. That is the return of democracy to Rivers State.
All right, Chief, before I bring in Mr. Bernard into the conversation, you are in Rivers State and you are a political stakeholder. Do you think that what the circumstances that led to the suspension was right? Because some people have argued that we have other states. Some people have even pointed out some states in the northeast that seem to have more issues than what was happening in Rivers State, but the president did not declare a state of emergency. What's your personal opinion concerning that?
That's the reason why I told you that democracy and peace, it has been tampered. The what happened in Rivers State is abnormal. It's abnormal. And earlier before it happened, by January, I believe I was in ATN. Yes, that was late last year, not January. I was in ATN, the Atlantic Television Network. I told them that such thing might happen because looking at the closeness of the Minister of FCT, that is the FCT Minister, to the President, and considering also the fact that the Governor had only 4 legislators within him, working with him, and the Supreme Court ruling, I believe that it is abnormal. It is not the right thing to be done. The peace would have come before the whatsoever thing that has happened. And bringing an emergency rule to Rivers State was not democratic at all. So even in so many states, just like what you mentioned, such thing has been happening. Even the worst thing has happened, like Benue State, Zamfara, I mean, so many northern states where so many people, even so many things has happened to the citizens, and state of emergency was not declared. Talk of Rivers State because of political crisis, and that led to state of emergency, which has taken a lot from Rivers State. I believe that it will take a long time for Rivers State to come back to what it's supposed to be.
You say it will take
it is not the right thing.
Yeah, let me bring this Bernard into the conversation again, Honorable. We are going to try to, please, if you can, try to stay with us. Mr. Bernard, you are hearing what he said. I'd like to bring you in for somebody who looks at the politics of Rivers. Why there seemed to be a lot of political tension in Rivers over time? In 2014, we had a lot of political tension also in Rivers, and even prior to 2014, it's been a very politically significant state as far as Nigeria is concerned. I'd like that you give us a background to why that happens that way.
Well, sometimes when you look at how the emergence of some of these stakeholders in the political space, Rivers State, for example, we do know that basically because of the oil installations there, and they are contributing to the FAC account, and subsequently also whoever is controlling that particular resources, you really know that the person should not be a sleeping governor. And that is why you see, when you look at the whole issue, you will always see the Minister of the FCT trying to give a two-side of the story, two-side of the coin. Listen to the press briefing yesterday where he was commissioned ruled. He was very, very significant in letting people know that the way Rivers State, and subsequently I really think that it is about revenue, because if the
but the Minister of FCT has been very clear that there's no revenue problem. It's just about structures and structures.
But we know when you say structures upon structure, when you are having structure, are you not going to host people? Are you not going to pay for venue? Where will the resources come from? Let's tell ourselves the truth.
But the minister has the resources to take care of his structure.
Well, when you say the minister has resources, resources could be human capital, resources could be money also. But I really think that the minister has a very, very strategic and calculated attempt, because if you remember, under his predecessor, according to him, he was given a commissioner, and he said specifically he will prefer to work in the office of the chief of staff. So that is
but there are conflicting statements now, because I listened to an interview by the former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amaechi, who said that he decided to make Nyesom Wike a chief of staff and not a commissioner of finance as he had requested.
More so, but I'm telling you what the Minister of FCT said, that he was given that opportunity and he preferred the chief of staff. So somehow I think maybe because they are in different platform now, that is why that is coming. And subsequently, you must also know, according to the Minister of the FCT, that he facilitated the bringing back of Rotimi Amaechi in Ghana so that he can become the governor. And he was also describing the physical appearance of Rotimi Amaechi, what he was wearing on the face cap. This is how politics is. But when we look at Rivers State, for example, and the categories of people who have ruled, I really think that Governor Fubara seems to be maybe less knowledgeable about the political activities in Rivers State subsequently. And according to the Minister of the FCT, that particular tribe, for example, didn't even merit it, but he gave it to them to make sure that they should be balanced. But let's just look at the other aspect of how things are really playing out. Now let's hope and believe, to maybe to a large extent, that if the governor is able to address that press briefing today, we'll begin to see maybe him, not just his word shouldn't be confrontation any longer. He wouldn't be a demonstrator where crowd will be following him, and subsequently he will be able to be a peacemaker.
Before I bring Chief in, Chief, I'm going to bring you into this conversation very soon. Before I bring in Chief, you say the demonstrator, people are following him out of love. People waited yesterday from morning till about evening waiting for the governor, and this morning as early as people went to the airports to wait for him. Is that not an act of love?
Well,
just people choosing to follow a leader they love.
Well, that for me seems to be like a triumphant entry. But at the end of the day, those crowd, you really know that the way politics is, at the end they have to maybe relax in one area or one joint to make sure that they're able to take a cup of water. This is what patronage is. Nobody will want to support you in politics on the ground. Yes, it is. I tap my back and you also tap my back. But Sim also should understand that as his I will just say triumphant entry back to Rivers State, you should be able to understand one basic concept of politics. The rules should be clear, and they are not ready to tell us the rule, because Nyesom Wike, the minister, has stated that he wants to take charge of control of the structure. But on the part of Governor Fubara, how can 4 or legislators or so in the State House of Assembly be trying to overpower the other people? I don't think that mathematics or calculation will be good in this particular
so let
period.
me bring in Chief now. Chief, you are on the ground. Mr. Bernard is talking about the fact that some of the people following Fubara could be governors similar to Fubara. Could be because of pecuniary gains and what they stand to gain following the governor, and may not really be because they really love the person of the governor. I like that you speak to that as somebody who's on the ground.
Okay, yeah. Really, the governor was not the initial choice of the people when it comes to the governance of Rivers State. It was
initial choice as to the person who won the election. He was presented and he won the election. There were other candidates on ballots. He won.
Yes, but when I'm talking about my party. Right. You understand? PDP. And initially, it was not the option of it. He was not the option of the people. He was not the only option of the people. But the decision of the FCT minister, currently the FCT minister, then the governor of Rivers State, who is the former governor of Rivers State, to make him the governor was, I would say, is a personal decision. Now, him coming in, because of his activeness.
That's an heavy word, but I'll drop it there. I'll talk to you about that. You say it was a personal decision, but go ahead on Chief.
Yeah. So now, because of his activeness, because of the information he gave to people, because of the belief that the seat of the governor is like a honey dropping from the tree, that whomever that touches his hand, the person will lick. That is the reason why so many persons today believe in him, and they don't only believe in him because he is from Rivers State. They believe in him just like what your guest is saying there, it's because he's the governor of Rivers State. They believe they will get one or two things from him. Like I initially called them Orina crisis. So many persons will gather here, they say they love this person, they support him. But particularly when you look deep into it, it's based on what they want to get. But Governor Fubara has earned the respect and the love from the Rivers people, both the youths and the elders of Rivers State has decided to love him, and because they believe that when you finish as a governor, you are supposed to leave the state and focus on other things. Now, the FCT minister is igniting these issues because he is the one that made him the governor, and also the structure that made him the governor is not his structure, because the governor is no politician before this time. He only relied on the structure of the FCT minister, and they worked to make him the governor of the state.
All right, Chief, let me stay with you. Two things. You talked about being a personal decision. I like that you clarified more on that. And number two, this issue of structure. They talk a lot about structure. Governor Nyesom Wike has talked about structure. You are a leading politician in Rivers State. What is really the structure that the politicians in Rivers State are talking about, Chief?
Okay. Now, when you talk about structure, we started GDI from the wards, and it got to all the wards, the 390 wards, 390 units, 390 wards in Rivers State. Yeah, 310 wards in Rivers State. We formed the GDI, and that GDI is the structure that merited the position of the PDP when PDP, the former PDP chairman, GIK, was won by Gorant. And Gorant now took up that structure of the GDI and made them the executive, and that is the structure of the PDP from the ward to the local government to the state. And that is the structure that the current FCT minister is working with, and that structure has been formidable, and that is the structure that also delivered the sitting governor. So when the governor now entered, it looks as if he wanted his own structure. He does not want that existing structure to continue. So that was what ignited the whole problem.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chief. We'll get back to you, but let me get back to the studio where we have Mr. Bernard with us. Mr. Bernard, I'd like to hear your thoughts about the issue concerning who controls what, who controls the leadership, who controls, because elections were just conducted in Rivers State when Siminalayi Fubara was under that very suspension. And all of the local government chairman, those from the APC who won majority and PDP who just won 3, people say are loyalists to the minister of the FCT. But the minister of the FCT also have said, I don't have a dog in this fight. Am I a party to the fight? Am I a governor in the state? I'm in the FCT. I'm focusing on the business of the FCT. It's a lot of work already. And it's between the House of Representatives and the governor. He's trying to, some people have said, maybe he tries to distance himself from the issues. I like that you put up all of those thoughts together.
What do you expect the governor, the minister of the FCT to say? It is obvious that sometimes if a politician speaks and you begin to look at the message, it's, let's take for example, when he was nominated to become the Minister of State, at that particular period of time, there was an interview he granted on a TV station saying he wasn't even the first, neither the second, but he was the third on the list, and he was recommended to be the minister in Abuja. You know, he was a minister then, Minister of State for Education. So that the purpose of that ministerial recommendation was to keep him away from the structure. But according to him, he said he was always coming home every weekend because he wanted to maintain the structure. So that was where I began to understand that he is really maybe firm enough to plant his structure, and those structures, yes, these are human beings. These are human beings. It is not an inanimate object. These are human beings who will be able to follow his vision, who will be ready to comply with whatever he is saying. Not only like the normal Pidgin Palace, create a WhatsApp group, whatever is happening there, let us know. And that is why you see that sometimes when he speaks, he is not in Rivers State, but some things that are happening, you begin to ask yourself, how did he get this information? And I use the words of Akwa Ibom State Governor that say before he decamped to the APC, now he cannot go for condolence visit again to an opposition member. People need to take pictures and snap to the national headquarters, citing that you have left the political party, you are visiting your opponent. So these are the things that individuals are there, and basically they are to give him information, they are to write report, they are to write summary. This is what we are expecting. Okay, for example, they just resume, and the State House of Assembly and Land have requested that he should send names of nominees of ministers. Meanwhile, commissioners. Meanwhile, this man is not in the country. He just came in. So you begin to see, it looks as if you will give you this, you give us this. You will give you this, you give us this. So subsequently, I really think that Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the FCT, has maintained that structure. So whether they are visible structure, whether they are inanimate object, it's left for the minister to really define what that structure is. But I know politically, this like they are stronghold in making sure they are going to help him to achieve his vision politically.
Right, thank you so much, Mr. Bernard. Stay with us, Street. Let's go for a short break, our first break for the show, and when we're back, we'll get straight into the conversation as we look at Rivers State politics, Fubara's return, and matters arising. This is Big Talk. My name is Ubong Uson. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Big Talk. Tonight on the program, we are x-raying River State politics in focus, and we have Chochu Wali, who is a leader of the PDP in River State, joining us, and we also have Mr. Bernard Eshiet, who is a journalist and also a political activist, joining us in the studio as we try to make sense about Fubara's return and matters arising. But before I get back to my guests, gentlemen, let's take some of the stories that we have trending, political stories that we have trending, and Governor Fubara's remark. We have some excerpts from what Governor Fubara actually said. Let me say this as it sheds light into our conversation as we go into the next stage of our conversation tonight. All right, so the first story we have, let's take the story. So the first story we have says Fubara returns. Talks about Fubara's return and people gathering. A lot of people are going out to welcome Governor Similaye Fubara, who today returned to Rivers State. All right, so I'm going to be taking that story now. All right, so okay, so the story says Fubara returns to Rivers State after 6 months suspension. Rivers State Governor Similaye Fubara today officially returned to the Rivers State Government House in Port Harcourt, marking the end of a 6-month suspension and political uncertainty in the oil-rich state. We'll take another story now. It says, how Obi surprised me early morning with Ghana Must Go Back, Charlie Boy. So entertainer and activist Charles Oputa, popularly known as Charlie Boy, today shared how former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi once surprised him with a Ghana Must Go Back filled with things one can never imagine, and it was not money. I've gone ahead to read that story. It was he talked about ginger and some other things that he mentioned, right? That's one of the stories that is actually making waves on social media. And we'll bring another story now. Any party with Obi already has 40% of votes, PDP chieftain. All right, so People's Democratic Party chieftain Dan Olasi has said he would welcome the return of former Labour Party's presidential candidate Peter Obi to the PDP ahead of the 2027 general elections. All right, so we take a last story for tonight. Rivers emergency rule not about Fubara, ex-presidential candidate. The presidential candidate of the defunct Nigeria for Democracy in the 2019 elections, Asuku Achibong, has said that the emergency rule imposed on Rivers State and subsequently suspended is not about Governor Similaye Fubara. All right, so we take the remark by Governor Fubara, the broadcast that he did 6 p.m. Today. I just had to take an excerpt of that broadcast as we'll try to bring it to you. Alright, so it says, in the course of the 6-month period, Mr. President graciously brokered the peace process with all parties successfully. Our leader, His Excellency Nyesom Wike, CON, all members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, and I, as your governor, have all accepted to bury the hatchet and embrace peace and reconciliation in the best interest of Rivers State. That's point 5 of that broadcast that was done tonight, 6 p.m. It was done 6 p.m. by Governor Similaye Fubara. The first broadcast is given since his return as governor of Rivers State. Chief, I'd like to bring you on before I get to my guest in the studio. What do you think about what Governor Fubara is saying? He's saying nobody should fight for me, and for peace, we've made peace, and we're not going to be having any issues going forward. Do you think this is sustainable? Chief, can you hear me? Please, you'd like to say that again. I think we lost you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Chief.
Okay. To him as the governor of Rivers State, it's obtainable, and he is doing it for the sake of peace in Rivers State. That's why he said what he said. But what matters is, like what I said earlier, the governor is not a politician. The governor is just an administrator who was called on to be the governor of Rivers State. He was a civil servant before he was brought in to be a governor of Rivers State. So he's not a politician, and only politicians who understand some certain statements they make when it comes to leadership. Because when you are talking about peace, are you talking about peace to the detriment of those that has followed you, that believed on you, that have believed in the government? No, but whatsoever, what we are all talking about is let there be peace, and let the peace stand. Because when you look at the statement of the resolution of the House of Assembly members, when they said that they demand that the governor submit the list of commissioners to them immediately, that caused that maybe this list of commissioners has been written before this time, because it takes a lot of time. They have duration. You know, I was a councillor, like I told you earlier, and I know that the executive have duration before they have specific time before they will submit list of executive of their cabinet to the legislative arm. But when they are demanding it as soon as I don't know if the list has been written and what the list is all about. Because what we should be thinking about now in Rivers State is for the two sides to work together. Then that means there is peace. Because if this list is coming from only one camp, that means there is no peace. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'll go back
the
to
list is
yeah.
coming from one camp. Maybe this list has been written before this time, given to him to present, and he presents it. And the people that is in the other side, maybe people that has been with him all this while, are nowhere to be found in the government.
Right.
That means he is now telling them that they are not relevant.
Right. So, all right. Thank you, Trevor. I'd like to come back to you later, but let me get Mr. Bernard into the conversation. There are conversations around the fact that Governor Similaye Fubara should not have even come back. People have said he should have resigned. And a lot of conversation. There's also a conversation that maybe he's not going to seek second term. Maybe that's part of the peace deal. I like that you talk, Mr. Bernard.
Well, when you look at how he's emerging, just the way politics is being played, somehow you just understand that it is a clear indication that among the state democracy in Nigeria, it is very, very difficult for deputy governors to succeed their boss. That is exactly what is playing. Can you just imagine what will happen, assuming Fubara seeks second term and win, and Fubara will now, His Excellency Sim Fubara will now be the person who will be recommending to the Minister of the FCT that this is the person I want to take over from me. That is not going to work. And subsequently, the way this Fubara should be really prepared, that he should not expect everything to be rosy, in the sense that just imagine how they are anticipating requesting that he should bring that list. And subsequently, I think I really love the way he addressed his boss, giving all the titles and
our leader,
calling him our leader. It begins to shape the narrative of Nigerian politics, that subsequently you will hear maybe our South leader, and it will now metamorphose to a bigger picture, where you begin to call the Minister of the FCT as an elder statesman, because he has been able to develop some individuals politically. But let's look at, if Fubara want to seek second term, I know ideally they will say it is the political party that will be able to let's wait till we cross the bridge. But ideally, I know Fubara should understand, he knows that if he is not in tune with the Minister of the FCT, it will be difficult for him to seek the second term. We should not just deceive ourselves, because when you look at just a few period of time, the people who were advising him maybe to have some fisticuff with the Minister of the FCT, where are they at this particular period of time? I really think that the politics of Rivers State, it really needs somebody who is grounded, somebody who has full worship. Unlike our guest on the phone said that he wasn't a core politician. So I think he's learning what politics is at this particular time, and I really hope that he will be able to look at the dynamics and see whether he has the option of continuing on the being friendly with his predecessor, whom we now call his leader, and subsequently
he has always been calling his leader before they had let me get back to
if you are calling him your leader, then why are you now always having issues with him?
Not always having issues. No, they are not always having issues. They just had issues and it's been resolved. Chief Wali, I'd like to ask, what are you seeing looking into the future? What are you seeing? Are you going to see a situation where there will be no stalemate again? Are we going to have the remaining 2 years served out, and Governor Similaye Fubara maybe goes on to do his private business and into the corporate world? What are you seeing for Similaye Fubara?
Okay, looking at the person of Governor Similaye Fubara, just like I earlier told you that he's not a politician. Politics is a business of its own. Politics is a business of its own. So many people do not really understand. They see every leader to be a politician, but it's not possible. Governor Similaye Fubara, looking at it, he will not be eligible to contest for second tenure. He will not. When I mean eligible, I mean he will not be able to win the ticket of second tenure so far as the FCT minister is concerned. You know, politicians can forgive, but they can't forget. That is one agronomy I understand much about politicians. They can forgive you, but they cannot forget. The FCT minister cannot forget the issues that he had with Simla Efubara. And he knows giving Simla Efubara the second chance of going back for the second tenure will not only trigger some certain hidden issues within his structure, but will give him nothing but no chance but the opportunities of Simla Efubara to utilize the opportunity to build himself in the States. So Simla Efubara will face his business. It's just that he might not be beached if he work with the rules that will be given to him by the FCT minister, but he will only end up after his first tenure, and he will go ahead and do his normal business. Of course, after being a governor of a state, a rich state like Rivers State, you should be comfortable with any other thing that you want to do, even if it's a business. So, what I'm saying is that he will face his normal businesses after the end of his first tenure.
All right. So, hello. You said something. You said politicians don't forget, and you remove yourself from that statement. You are a politician. You would have said we politicians do not forget, Chief. But let me get to Bernard. You tackle that as you take the last questions for tonight. I like that you talk about the place of godfatherism and the place of some states like Lagos State. Some people have talked about the fact that El Rufai went to Lagos at a point and said if he was there, he would have taught them how to escape godfatherism. You still remember that address, right? So people have talked about godfatherism. Are we gradually seeing a return to a system where people are selected and appointed and not the will of the masses coming out? Because like Chief said, at the first point, it was not maybe the will of the stakeholders of the party. And Chief, I'd like to also ask you before we end the show, are you still a member of the PDP? Are you seeing Fubara leaving your party, the PDP? But Bernard, over to you first.
Well, when we look at the issue of godfatherism in Nigerian politics, it has been there, and that is why you see series of endorsements prior to the election. But sometimes the former president was endorsed, Goodluck Jonathan, in 2015 by a lot of individuals, groups, but did he win the election? The answer is no. So godfatherism is like an empire on its own. Nobody will want to leave the palace and begin to stoop down to be eating crumbles. Relevance in the political space is what people want to have at every period of time. The likes of, I don't know whether in the West, Lamidi Adidibu, I don't know whether you remember that name. It has been there, and people believe that if it persists for a long period of time, the political science and activism that you do study in school, you come back in the Nigerian political space, is another different ball game. It is not an issue where 22 players in the football field are kicking the ball, but in politics, just a naive individual will just think that it is the players that are making the money. They forget that the merchandise, the ticket sales in the stadium, and somebody alone is the one owning that stadium, and is the one that is having a lot of revenue. At the end, they declare profit. That is how Nigerian politics is. So you want to maintain relevance, and it doesn't have a retirement age. And that's why when you see people 80 years, almost 90, they are still active in Nigerian politics, because it is an estate where people want to believe that they want to be relevant at all times.
Right, so Chief, I'll come back to you now. The last question I'll be asking you for tonight. Are you still a member of the PDP at this point? And are you seeing Simila Efubara, governor of Rivers State, leaving your party?
I remain a member of PDP in my state. Like I told you earlier before this time, and one of our conversations that yes, I have my PDP membership card, which is very, very active. But similar Efubara, when you look at the scenario very well, you find out that in the last local government election, PDP only won about
three local
2 or
government.
3 local government. Yeah. So, and the rest is being won by APC. That is to show you the clear picture that as the governor returns, sooner or later, that the governor will be moving to APC. And the entire supporters of Chibarisa Ian Wike, the FCT minister, will move to APC, while he might continue in PDP to make sure that the party is dead completely.
That's a very hard one to say, but thank you so much, Honorable Churchill Owadi, who is a former a former councillor in Rivers State, and also a political leader, a stakeholder in the PDP Rivers State. Thank you so much, Honorable, for speaking to us in such a short notice. We really do appreciate your perspective to the issues, and we wish Rivers State all of the best. Thank you so much, Honorable, for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Bernard, we have to leave now. Your final words.
Well, I want to believe that the Governor Fubara most likely might be given a new job description, but he should be able to study his new KPIs, you understand me, and begin key performance indicators and see how that will be good for him, because I do know that people voted for him, people queued, and they really want to get the dividends of democracy. Just the way my friend jokingly said that if the governor is not getting what he really wants or the support, he should shout, but I don't know who is going to listen to the shout.
The president will listen. The president,
okay, the president will listen.
The president is a father to everybody.
Right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bernard Eshet,
a
journalist, a veteran journalist and political activist, for coming on the show tonight. We really do appreciate your wealth of experience. And people, as the size of our show, like we say every day, we wish our River State all of the best. And Governor Similayo Fubara, a pleasant 2 years. Is it still 2 years?
Almost.
Yeah. About 2 years, as he continues to be governor of River State and all of the good people in River State. And keep being a good citizen of Nigeria. Love Nigeria, love Nigeria, love Nigeria. Good night. My name is Upong Musora. Bye.